All right, so today we're going to be looking into some pretty cool AI tech stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Alibaba, the big e-commerce company, right? They
Yeah.
just did something that's got like the whole AI world buzzing.
Yeah.
They basically just took a bunch of their really powerful AI models and like made them open source.
Wow.
Yeah, it's called Tangi Qinomwen. I think I'm saying that right.
Sounds right.
Or Qwen for short, thank goodness.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've got a ton of info from Alibaba Cloud about all this, and I guess our mission today is to like figure out what this all means, why it's such a big deal, and like what Qwen can actually do, get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing here is that we usually think of open source as something coming from smaller companies or communities,
Right.
not like a giant corporation like Alibaba.
Yeah, it really is kind of a surprise, right? Like I definitely did a double take when I saw this.
For sure.
And it's not just like, oh, here's one model, have fun. It's like a whole family of these Qwen models.
Yeah.
They've got ones for language, obviously, but then also for vision, for audio, even for coding and math.
It's amazing.
It's like they built an entire AI Swiss Army knife, and then we're just like, here you go, world, have at it.
Well, giving it away is an interesting way to put it, because by making this open source, Alibaba isn't just being generous.
Right.
They're potentially like shaping the entire AI landscape.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Like, think about it. Anybody from like a little startup to a student working on a project can now just access these models and modify them.
That's wild.
That level of access, it could lead to like an explosion of new innovations.
Okay, but hold on. Before we go too far down that road, let's back up for a sec.
Sure.
What does open source actually mean in this context? Like, are they sending out CDs in the mail? Okay, good.
It basically means the underlying code for these AI models is like free for anyone to use, study, change, and redistribute.
Gotcha.
It's like, imagine you have a recipe for this really complex dish. Alibaba has provided the main ingredients and instructions, but you're totally free to like experiment, swap out some spices, maybe even create your own versions of the dish.
I like where you're going with this.
And then any improvements or new things you come up with, you can share back with the community, and then it just keeps building and building.
So it's kind of like crowdsourcing the future of AI.
Yeah, in a way it is. I think it's really about using the collective intelligence of like the whole world to push the boundaries of what AI can do.
That's a cool way to think about it.
But of course, with great power comes great responsibility, as they say.
Yeah, for sure. We'll definitely need to like dive into the downsides and ethical stuff later on.
Absolutely.
But for now, let's stick with the fun stuff and talk about what Qwen can actually do.
Okay.
Some of these examples are seriously mind-blowing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've got this one called Qwen VL, like the visual model, and it can create images in all these different art styles just based on what you type in. Yeah, like imagine typing a cat riding a unicorn through a rainbow galaxy, and then boom, you actually get a painting of that, like in the style of Van Gogh or something.
Wow.
I know, right?
This is so cool.
And then there's Qwen Audio, which, like you might guess, deals with sound. It
Wow.
can, like, analyze music and tell you what kind of mood it is, identify the different instruments, and even transcribe speech, like, super accurately.
It's like giving machines superpowers for their ears.
That's a great way to put it. It's like they figured out how to make AI understand all these different types of information.
Yeah.
Not just language, but images and audio and even code.
It's pretty remarkable.
So what's the secret sauce here? Like, how does Qwen get all this stuff?
Well, at its heart, Qwen is trained on this absolutely massive data set. We're talking trillions of data points.
Trillion.
Trillions. They call them tokens. It's like if you were teaching a child by showing them millions of pictures, playing them tons of music, reading them like endless books. The more data these models see, the better they get at recognizing patterns, making connections, and like ultimately generating output that are really human-like.
So it's all about just the sheer amount of data. More data equals smarter AI.
That's a huge part of it. Yeah. But it's not just the quantity, it's also the quality and the diversity of that data.
Right, makes sense.
Alibaba has clearly made a choice to train Qwen on this huge and varied collection of text and code and images and audio from all over the world.
Wow.
And this, I think, is what allows Qwen to understand and generate outputs in so many different areas.
Okay, so we've got these super powerful AI models that are free for anyone to use, trained on like an insane amount of data. What happens next? Who's actually using this Qwen thing?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Alibaba has highlighted some pretty diverse customer success stories.
Oh, yeah. Like who?
Well, for example, there's AstraZeneca, the pharmaceutical giant.
Okay.
And they're using Qwen to speed up how they generate medical reports from like mountains of research data.
Wait, let me guess they're using AI to cut through all the red tape and get, like, life-saving info out faster?
Exact.
That's gotta be a game changer for healthcare.
It really is. And it shows how Qwen isn't just for tech companies,
Right.
It's useful across all sorts of industries, from healthcare and finance to retail and even the arts.
Okay, I'm officially hooked. Tell me more about these real-world applications. What else are people doing with Qwen?
Well, there's this Japanese company called Light Blue, and they specifically picked Qwen because it's amazing at handling Japanese text.
Interesting.
Turns out Qwen is particularly good at understanding the little nuances of East Asian languages.
So they're using Qwen to, like, break down language barriers and make information more accessible?
Precisely.
That's awesome. What else?
Then we have Drunk Elephant.
The skincare company.
Yep, they actually built something called Drunk GPT using Qwen.
I love that name.
It's this AI assistant that can answer customer questions about skincare, provide personalized product recommendations, and even analyze pictures to give advice about specific skin concerns.
So now AI is giving us beauty tips. This is wild.
I know, right? And it really shows how Qwen isn't just for serious tasks.
Yeah.
It can also be used to create these more engaging and personalized experiences for customers.
I'm sensing a theme here. Efficiency, personalization, and a touch of magic.
Yeah.
What's our final example?
All right, so Haleon, which is this global healthcare company, they're using Qwen to build what they call a hyper-personalized health platform.
Hyper-personalized, okay.
They're even integrating Qwen with their own massive library of health information to give even more specific and relevant advice to users.
Wow. So instead of getting, like, generic health advice, they're using AI to create a plan tailored just for you.
That's the goal.
That feels like a huge step towards more proactive and personalized healthcare.
I think so too.
But hold on, how are these companies actually doing all of this? Like, are they all hiring tons of AI engineers?
That's where Alibaba's Model Studio platform comes in.
Okay.
They've made it super easy for companies and even individuals to customize and use Qwen without needing to be like a coding expert.
Wait, are you saying that even I could potentially mess around with Qwen and build something cool?
That's the idea.
No coding boot camp required.
Not necessarily, but before you go off and build your own AI-powered personal assistant,
Uh-huh.
maybe we should take a closer look at how this Model Studio actually works and what it all means for the future of AI development.
All right, I'm definitely down for that, but first I need to process all of this awesome information.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll be right back after a quick
Break to let all this sink in.
Yeah.
It's a really pivotal moment.
It is.
Like Alibaba opening up these powerful AI tools to everyone, it really could change everything.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that, but I have to admit there's a part of me that's wondering, like, what's the catch?
Uh-huh.
Why would Alibaba, a for-profit company, just give away something this valuable?
Right.
There's got to be something in it for them, right?
Right. Oh, it's a smart business move for sure by making Qwen open source.
Alibaba is positioning itself as a leader in, like, the whole AI world.
I see.
Think about it. The more people that use and adapt Qwen, the more valuable it becomes.
Okay, so they're playing the long game.
Exactly.
But isn't there a risk that this could backfire? Like, what if their competitors just come in and steal their tech?
That's definitely a possibility, but it's a calculated risk. Remember, Qwen is already out there. It's not like Alibaba is giving away some secret formula.
True.
And by encouraging everyone to use it, they're also getting a ton of data and feedback, which can help them make Qwen even better.
So it's kind of a win-win.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm starting to understand the business side of things, but let's zoom out for a minute.
Sure.
We've talked about all the potential good stuff that can come from open source AI,
Mm-hmm.
but what about the potential downsides?
Yeah.
This is powerful stuff. What happens if it ends up in the wrong hands?
That's a very valid concern. There are definitely risks with any kind of powerful technology, and AI is no exception.
Right. The potential for misuse is something the entire AI community is trying to figure out.
So what are we doing about it? Are there any safeguards in place to make sure people use Qwen responsibly?
Well, there's this growing movement in AI towards what's called responsible AI development.
Oh, okay.
It's not just about building cool technology. It's about thinking about the ethical side of things and trying to prevent any harm that could happen.
Okay, but what does that actually look like in practice? How do we make sure AI is used for good and not, for evil?
It starts with diversity. We need diverse teams of people building these systems, of people from different backgrounds with different perspectives.
Right.
That helps to identify and address any biases that might be hidden within the data.
Yeah, because AI is only as good as the data it learns from garbage in, garbage out, right?
Exactly. But it's also about transparency. The decisions that AI makes should be explainable so we can understand them.
Right. We can't treat them like magic boxes.
Exactly. If we're going to trust AI to make decisions that affect our lives,
Yeah.
we need to understand how it's making those decisions.
I see your point, but isn't that kind of a paradox?
How so?
Well, part of what makes AI so powerful is that it can find patterns and make connections that we humans might miss.
True.
So how can we expect to fully understand something that's in some ways smarter than us?
It's definitely a challenge, but I think it's a challenge worth taking on. It's not about making AI less smart. It's about making it more accountable.
I like that.
We need to find ways to ensure that AI remains a tool that serves humanity, not the other way around.
Okay, wow. Things are getting a bit philosophical here. But it makes me wonder, if we're teaching machines to be more like humans, shouldn't we also be trying to be better humans?
That's a really profound thought. Perhaps the rise of AI is an opportunity for us to really think about what it means to be human,
Yeah.
what makes us unique and valuable. How can we cultivate those qualities in ourselves and in future generations?
It's like AI is holding up a mirror to us, forcing us to look at both our good and bad sides.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, by studying AI, we can learn something about ourselves and how to build a better world.
That's a really inspiring way to think about it. But let's bring it back down to earth for a second.
Okay.
We've been talking about the big picture, but I'm curious about the details. Like, how does this model studio platform actually work? What kind of tools does it give you?
Well, it's basically a set of tools that lets developers fine-tune Qwen for specific tasks.
Right.
You can customize the training data, adjust the model settings, even integrate Qwen with other systems.
So you don't have to be a coding genius to work with it.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Alibaba has clearly put a lot of work into making Model Studio user-friendly. They
Yeah.
even offer pre-trained models that you can use as a starting point, so you don't have to build everything from scratch.
Or if I'm a small business owner with a great idea for a new AI app, I could theoretically use Model Studio to make that happen.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of open source AI. It empowers individuals and small teams to innovate and compete with the big guys.
I'm already thinking about all the amazing things people could create with this, but before we get carried away, there's one more thing we need to address: the cost. I mean, is this something that's actually affordable for like regular people, or are we talking like big bucks here?
Well, that's another really cool thing about Qwen and Alibaba's approach. They've actually made it really cost-effective to use.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they offer different pricing tiers, so you can choose what works best for your budget,
Hmm.
you know.
Okay.
And they've even got like a free tier for people who are just getting started or want to experiment a bit.
So it's not like you need to invest a ton of money up front just to like dip your toes in the water?
Exactly. They've really tried to remove those financial barriers so more people can access this technology.
I'm really liking what I'm hearing so far. It sounds like Alibaba is really committed to making AI accessible to everyone, not just like big corporations and tech giants.
I think that's their goal. They want to democratize AI development and create a more inclusive ecosystem.
Okay, so for our listeners who are like totally pumped about this and want to learn more, where should they go? How do they actually get their hands on Qwen and start playing around?
Well, Alibaba Cloud has a whole website dedicated to Qwen
Mm-hmm.
with all the info you need, like links to download the models, access Model Studio, and all sorts of resources.
Cool.
And for the really adventurous types, Qwen's also available on those popular open source platforms like Hugging Face ModelScope and GitHub.
Awesome. We'll make sure to include all those links in the show notes so you guys can check it out for yourselves.
Definitely.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I gotta say I'm feeling pretty inspired. It's like AI isn't just this abstract, futuristic thing anymore.
Right.
It's a real tool that's already changing the world. And with these open source initiatives like Qwen, it feels like we're just getting started.
I totally agree. The possibilities are endless. It's up to all of us to use this technology wisely and ethically, but the potential for good is huge.
Well said. So to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to explore Qwen, experiment, have fun, and let your imaginations run wild.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe one of you will build the next big AI breakthrough that makes the world a better place.
That's a great thought to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Alibaba's open source AI. We hope you learned something new, and we can't wait to see what you create.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure chatting with you. Until next time.